It's Halloween, and of course that means it's time to don some spooky drip. And with the characters of Pokemon, surely they've got some frightfully fun costumes during the various Pokemon Masters Halloween events. I had gotten a handful of comments asking me to discuss some of these special outfits from this game, so why not take a look at Pokemon Masters and see who's got the best Halloween fits. Well, technically this isn't Halloween, but you get the point. In 2020, we had the Fight or Fright event, which saw trainers battling each other for candy, and we get to tag along with Hilbert and Acerola. Hilbert is partnered with a Mightyena and is dressed in clothing inspired by his furry friend. Overall, it's giving me real Johnny Depp as a wolf from Into the Woods vibes, but that's a good thing. Mightyena is kind of a mix of hyena and wolf, so it's the perfect fit for a Halloween party. Although this look is mostly functional, being regular clothes with Mightyena flair like the ears on the hat, shoes made to look like its claws, and a scarf that works as the fur and even resembles a tail without really being a tail. I think Hilbert was a great choice because it gave him an alternate look pretty early on, though it was futile to even attempt keeping up with Hilda. Acerola is partnered with Mimikyu and is dressed to match. Most of the costume is in the upper half, with the giant Mimikyu hood being the focus. The rest is sort of usual spooky fall attire, with the large pants and other parts being orange to go along with the purple that's still present in her design. Even though Hilbert's outfit is meant to match Mightyena, it's good that Acerola has a lot of color to balance things out when they're together. She's got one black glove, which I just realized is meant to look like Mimikyu when it lets one of its ghostly hands out from underneath its covering. Oh, and of course she has Mimikyu eyes and the tail in the lower half. It's just perfect. Both a trainer and a Pokemon made for Halloween. In 2020, we got the Midnight Spook Fest. This event was a party hosted by Lear in an old castle, and Morty and Caitlin are dressed in some of the fanciest and spookiest clothing possible. Though they aren't trying to pull off a look inspired by a certain Pokemon, it still fits. Morty is partnered up with Bayonet and looks like a typical vampire with the large collar on the cloak. But there are still hints of Bayonet, like the zipper patterns all over, and the cloak even ends in a tail like Mega Bayonet's head. His headband now covers one of his eyes, and that sort of makes it look like the patchwork that you would do on an old toy. Maybe, that's just what I'm guessing. The classic style does fit Morty as he is a history and legendary Pokemon enthusiast. Caitlin more or less goes for the same vampire style, and this fancy event probably suits her even better because she is one of the few characters in Pokemon who is actually royalty, a vampire princess finally awakening from her slumber. She's partnered with Sableye, which is the first major deviation as she normally uses Psychic-type Pokemon, and now has a Dark and Ghost type. Though with Sableye being a Pokemon who is all about gemstones, it makes sense for a rich person to have one, and her entire dress just fits perfectly with the jagged ends resembling Sableye's ears, and the gem-shaped patterns all over literally being the shape of Mega Sableye's gem. I do also love how the rose in her hair is actually just more gems. Sableye's eating good tonight. And now that brings us to 2022, where we got the Otherworldly Encounter event. This one sees Alistair and Iris trick-or-treating until they meet a Poiple out in the woods, which eventually evolves into a Naganadel. Alistair is partnered with a Gourgeist, and he himself is literally just a Pumpkaboo. The hat doesn't hide anything, but I do love that he's wearing an orange mask now that looks like a pumpkin, and with his hair draping over it just makes his entire head look like a Pumpkaboo. That is so cool. The rest of his outfit takes more hints from the fall and fancy aesthetic we've seen before, with the ends looking like Gourgeist hands. There is also a little jack-o'-lantern face. It's great that he was included, being a Galarian ghost boy as we're coming to the end of Generation 8. And now we have Iris, who forms a sync pair with the aforementioned Naganadel. She has her hair styled similarly to her champion look and is also wearing horns. Overall, this looks like a typical devil costume, but it's also clearly meant to resemble Naganadel, even though she had never seen one before she chose this costume. A huge coincidence, but it looks cool. She's got tiny wings on her back as well. Being another character who isn't known for ghost or dark types, I think this was a fun inclusion, because Naganadel can totally fit the spooky aesthetic, being a creature from another world and one that's also a dragon type, making it perfect for Iris to understand and bond with. It is also poison type, so that gives it a nice purple coloring that passes for Halloween. The rest of her outfit is mostly a black dress leaning more into the gothic style, an interesting contrast to her champion princess look. So those are the Halloween outfits from Pokemon Masters so far. I think everyone passed the drip check well enough, but if I were to personally rank them, I'd go with something like this. Personally, I do love Caitlin's outfit best, it just goes so hard. Morty's too, but it somehow looks a bit basic compared to the others. Though I think Acerola's costume fits the Halloween feeling best. They're all winners in my book, but I guess the important thing is whatever you think. Anyway, I just can't wait to see what the next 3 years of Pokemon Masters brings us for this spooky time of year. Until then, happy Halloween! Thank you to all of my channel members who continue to support and make these videos possible, especially the great Gators Jackson, Justin R, Mr. Pig Puncher, Phantom Pyro, and Quago. If you would like to get a shout out here as well as access to emotes to use in comments and live streams, you can become a channel member as well today. Anyway, this has been GatorEX, and I'll catch you all later.
This week, Kids WB is treating you to Halloween cartoons in the afternoon. Instead of seeing the regular big cartoony show, you'll see all the big cartoony stars in super spooky Halloween specials. Regular episodes of Pokémon are being taken to the Pokévet, so you can see the really scary ones. And regular episodes of Batman Beyond and the Batman Superman adventures are being replaced with... Wait a minute, they're not being replaced. Those things are always scary. It's Super Spooky Afternoons, starting Monday on Kids WB.